All right, Chaz, let's get right to it. No one, and I mean no one, celebrates the first day of the season like Cincinnati. But for the first time in a long time, the Reds had something to celebrate on the final day of the season, too. Something bigger, something better. 185 days after opening day in March at Great American Ballpark, we were all Brent Suter, weren't we? When we think about it, we were all Brent Suter, literally or figuratively dancing wildly as the Reds returned to the postseason after a full season for the first time in 12 years. Chaz, I got to ask you, how did the champagne taste? How was the cigar smoke? Did it sting your eyes? How was your experience in the clubhouse in Milwaukee?
You know, this is a cliche type of thing that usually I don't prescribe to, but these guys really like each other. These guys grew up together. This is a team. This is a group with some strategically acquired veterans who got their first chances to be the team, to be the team leaders, to be a team leader for the first time in their careers. And so this was kind of new for everybody. There wasn't anyone who was just like, oh yeah, been there, done that, same old. It really meant something to them. And I know that sure it means something for every team. I know that feels like a cliche to say, but being in the room, that was, and really seeing these guys grow up together over the year and over the last, decade in some cases, it really was that way.
Did you see anything better than the Suter dance?
My favorite, I have three moments I'll share. There's Hunter Greene posing for a video with a couple other guys, and they're trying to pop their champagne bottles on the video, and it goes together in a moment, or a GIF or whatever. And Greene can't get his bottle to open. And my metaphor there, of course, was, these guys, they've never done this before. They don't know what they're doing. And this was the lead to my story. But then the flip side of that was no one's done this more than Terry Francona. There was a moment where he went over to Marte for a huge hug. It was their moment. Tito forgot to put his goggles back on, and the team attacked, and it got in his eyes, and he had to take a step out. He had to get back. So rookie mistake by the veteran Tito. And my third moment was TJ Friedel, just kind of a moment on his own as he gets doused. He was like, we did it. We figured it out. And this young team that grew up together learned how to win, and now they're heading to LA.
Truly, they are heading to Los Angeles now to take on the Dodgers, but I can't get over, and I think the best viral moment is whatever that was that Brent Suter did. No one's surprised that he did it. He did everything except for drop down a piece of cardboard to spin on his head, 80s breakdancing style. It was inspired. There was passion, and that's who Brent Suter is. Welcome to Power Stacks. Proud members of the Growler Podcast Network, the first ever clinched edition of Power Stacks, Chaz, I should add. And what that means is, for the YouTube crowd, this is over. I'm holding up the schedule for which my life and your life and those guys that you've lived by now for 6 months, the Red schedule, this is it. There are check marks and highlight points and things that meant things to me, or work schedule over the years, but this is it. It's tattered. It's worn. It looks better than Chaz's notebook, but it's been through it, man. It's been through the ringer, and we're done. And so you get to that point and you start to take stock kind of where you are. Yes, the wild card series is just around the corner, but it's hard to just go, okay, 162 games, 6 months plus spring training. It all comes to an end. Terry Francona famously said a season doesn't wind down. You don't get to September and the season doesn't wind down. He said, no, you play, and then it abruptly ends at some point. And that's what the Reds hit on Sunday in Milwaukee. But for the first time in a while, it doesn't end there. That schedule that I just held up ends, but it doesn't end. But as you get to the finish line right now and you start thinking about this, you have to think about beating the odds, I think. And as recently as a few weeks ago, the Reds trailed the Mets and the Padres by 6 games for the last wild card spot. That was with 21 games to go on September 5th. They were 6 games out. MLB released a stat that less than 2 weeks ago, and I didn't track this, I don't think many people tracked it, but less than 2 weeks ago, the odds of the Reds making the playoffs were barely 3%. 3%. And yet at game 162, final day of the season, there's a celebration in Milwaukee. The Reds beat the odds. And sometimes the odds don't matter as much. As you look at what this team did to get to this point, how did they beat the odds?
The line that was ringing in my head the most, or the point that was ringing in my head the most, was that every single moment mattered. Like, remember that day in like Baltimore where Randy Wynn saved the pitching staff by pitching 3 scoreless innings? Like, that mattered. They wouldn't be here without Randy Wynn. Like, it took the guys in the training staff, the guys in the lowest levels of the front office. Every pitch mattered because every game mattered. So anyone who touched this Reds team to any sort of degree had a direct connection to the Reds making the playoffs, because you take one Jenga piece out of the board, it literally all falls. And that's the lesson of this season. Sure, you're frustrated about the year that, Matt McLain, it's Elly De La Cruz's second half. But even within those, there were moments where they won the Reds games and they needed every single one of them to get here to Los Angeles. And I look at it this way, like, the Dodgers are going to be favored through the roof, and that's fine. This is the World Series. Like, you're going to LA to face the Dodgers and Shohei. Like, this is all you can ask for when you show up for the first day of spring training. And that's pretty cool. Heading to that stage, something that someone said to me in the Clubhouse post game was, the entire world's about to know. We'll see if the Reds win, but they're going to be on that stage really for the first time that any of these guys have experienced. And that's pretty cool for them.
It's going to be the ultimate. It's going to be portrayed as the ultimate David and Goliath matchup. The Dodgers payroll, the Reds payroll, the media market size, LA to Cincinnati, the superstar power of Ohtani and Freeman and Betts and all those guys. And the Reds have good players, but they don't have that. The rings that those players and that team already has, the Reds don't have that. But we'll talk more about the matchup in just a bit. But right now, I just want to say, coming up on the show, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do our best to take you inside the clubhouse in Milwaukee for the celebration with those interviews in the moment, the emotional moments. And there's no way to recreate the answers or the mindset or the emotion that comes out in a situation like that. So we want to take you inside with the interviews that Chaz got. I'm in the dugout doing the post-game show, hearing most of the interviews, smelling the cigar smoke that's wafting down the tunnel from the clubhouse into the dugout at American Family Field. And we want to take you in there right now. So Chaz, if with this, all the sound that we have, if I said, what do we start with? Where do we go first? Who do we go to first to kick off this clinched edition of Power Stacks? Where do you go?
Well, you start in the middle. And when I got in the Reds clubhouse, right when it opened, there was Nick Martinez, shirt already ripped off, doused, drenched, and doing some sort of roar. So I
was very, very primal.
It was. Here's Nick Martinez in the clubhouse after the game.
You were right in the middle there. What were you doing and what was going through your mind?
Oh, this is awesome, man. We've been fighting and clawing our way to get to the spot, and we finally made it, man. It's been a hell of a season for these guys. We fought through so much adversity, and now we're in it, and anything can happen. We got to keep going, keep playing, and we're completely bought into who we are.
Why couldn't they kill you?
That's who we are, man. We're savvy, we're relentless. It took us to last week to fully buy in, but this last week, month and a half, we've been relentless and fully bought into who we are in that stages.
Last thing, who in this room is the song you're proud of?
Man, I'm proud of every single person in here, man. It's not easy. It's not easy to get to this spot. All we gotta do is knock the door down, and anything can happen. And every single one of these players have not taken another step in their careers. and unlocked another level.
Brian, what do you think?
I love Nick Martinez, and I love that there are players. I love the mix. And you can say every time Terry Francona talks about his team, he characterizes them as we have a young team. And they do. They have a lot of young guys. But the mix of players, of someone like Nick Martinez, who was out of Major League Baseball for what, 4 years? Was he in Japan? 4 years? For someone like him. For Gavin Lux, who just picked up his World Series ring last month in Los Angeles and now gets to go right back there to face that same team that he helped win last year. Jose Trevino is one of my favorite people in the clubhouse, not just because I like him personally, but for what I've seen him offer to this group and to some of the younger players in the room. So I think, it's all lip service until it works. But when the Reds say that they carefully considered the type of clubhouse person or character that someone had as they attempted to add also good baseball players, I believe that now. You can't manufacture chemistry. People try all the time. You can't do it. It has to happen. And you heard Nick Martinez say, we didn't buy into all this until the last couple of weeks. That's what stood out about what he said. But there is buy-in. There is chemistry. They do genuinely like each other. And that may not win them any games, but it won them enough to get in. It got him to winning 8 of the final 11. And someone may say they lost the last game. It's kind of a downer to go in. Well, Tito said we earned the right to compete for this spot. And by what they did down the stretch, they earned the wiggle room that they had to lose on the last day and still get in. So whatever it is, they earned it. And that's what sticks out to me about the group.
You know what I say to anyone who says anything about the Reds losing today? What the great Mr. Mosby once said on The Sweet Life of Zat and Cody. Pish posh. Anyway.
You even know what that means.
Back to thanks, Brian. Back to the clubhouse.
Yep.
You won't hear it. So I'm gonna say this up front and tell you this now. This was by far the most emotional player I talked to. There was a stunned look on his face. His eyes were red. He just kind of had to stop a few times to just collect himself. Here's Reds second baseman Matt McLain.
Mets get the Marlins get the last out. Take me inside that moment in this clubhouse.
Yeah, it was a double play ball. We were all saw it go to second base. They turned a nice second play. No worries.
Over the last 2 weeks, this team played its best baseball. What happened?
Everyone played to their potential. Their at-bats up and down the lineup were good. Pitchers showed up. Bullpen showed up. They did their thing. It was great.
After the struggles you dealt with this season, you had moments down this stretch. That's got to mean everything to you.
Yeah, for sure. It does. So, went through it, but again, doesn't matter. Let's go play Reds baseball.
What did you learn going through it to prepare you for the playoffs?
Just how important each day, each at bat is. Little things that's gonna show up in the end.
I left in the roar at the end as I cut that
it.
soundbite.
No, I liked it.
What did you think
I
of
liked
that?
it a lot. Oh, you know how we feel about McLain. We've talked about how when this season started, you expected him to be one of the players. If you thought the Reds had a chance to get in, you expected him to be one of the players to lead them there. He's at his moments, as you said, throughout the season. Everybody's contributed, but he's clearly disappointed. He's not happy with his personal results. But now that they have a chance and now that they're in, it's not going to do anything but benefit everyone who's going to be back. And Matt McLain is going to be back, and he's going to be expected to be the guy again next year, one of the guys. So that has to help. I was looking, and you and I both traveled and had a busy day, but I was trying to gather just some things that have come out in some numbers. And this, I came across that the Reds are the first team in Major League history to have these things that I'm about to list off. No qualifying batter hit 270. No batter hit 25 home runs. No pitcher won 15 games. No pitcher had 200 strikeouts. in a non-shortened season, it's the first team that has kind of had those benchmark numbers and still make the playoffs below those numbers. You know what I mean? To still make the playoffs. That's what they aren't. That's what they are not. What are they? What are the Reds? I'll throw you a deep question since you've been chugging ice black coffee all day and pounding donuts.
The Reds are a team with, last I checked, they were second in starting pitching WAR in baseball. The rotation is unbelievable, and you enter game one with a real shot because of that. It's a team with a bullpen that looks better than it has at any point for the Reds since 2020. Like, it'll fly under the radar because they lost, but man, Chase Burns today, and then Connor Phillips today. It's funny, like, one thing that'll get lost at time is all the stuff we disagreed with that I disagreed with. Not you. Don't want to throw you into this.
Don't speak for me.
That I disagreed with that Tito did today. The thing I disagreed with the most was putting in Connor Phillips for the third straight day after Phillips looked gassed yesterday. Phillips went 4 outs on Friday, was pitching back-to-back, I believe, for the second time all year, and he hadn't done it 4 outs then back-to-back. Then he looked tired yesterday. And then to pitch Phillips for a third straight day. But today, Phillips was unbelievable. Like, when I went around, you heard me ask one player this already, but like, who are you proud of? I got a lot of Connor Phillips. I got some Will Benson. Like, these guys who battled, who had to earn it again, who responded, Noel V. Marte. Guys we weren't counting on over the course of the season, who are just talented and had their moments. And, I mean, he would go back to cliche mode. Like, it did take 1 through 28 to get here. Sal Stewart had his moments. Brian Hayes had his moments. Zach Littell had his moments. It wasn't all dominant. It wasn't all great, but they had their moments, and every single one of them was needed. Miguel Andujar, go up and down the roster.
Yeah. I want to ask you this. When you walked into the clubhouse, or while you were waiting between, maybe it's somebody, not somebody you talked to, but what did you see? Did you see something that stands out that you remember as guys celebrated and all that stuff was happening? Did anything stand out that you saw?
Here's something I haven't said yet, like on this show, like, because I've talked some about what I've seen. I've spent a lot of time around Elly De La Cruz. I've never seen him speak as loudly as he did.
It's a
like,
good
just
point.
watching him in his body language, like talking to people. Like, I've seen him have a lot of conversations. He was loud. He was lighting up the room with his voice in a way that he always does. Tito's he's called, Elly's a quiet kid. And seeing that side of Elly is something that I'm really going to remember about today.
Yeah. One thing I saw, and then I'll let you get back to the sound. As I was leaving, as they had, after the clubhouse celebration, and everybody obviously comes onto the field for the team picture. And once again, what a class act the Brewers are to put the clinched up on the big board and the Reds logo in center field. It's a massive video board at American Family Field, and they did that for the picture. Classy move by that organization. But as I was leaving, and some guys were still on the field, some guys were trickling in and out of the dugout, there was Elly De La Cruz, Noel V. Marte, and Santiago Espinal, each on a knee, each with an arm around each other. And I'm not making any assumptions, but I talked to someone else about this. They were praying. And it was another brotherhood type bond of players and friends and competitors and teammates who've been through this thing that they've been through that is a 162 game schedule. And it was just one of those, in all of the noise and all of the smoke, all of the champagne, there was this quiet moment for these three friends sharing that moment that I'm sure they'll remember as much as some of the celebration stuff that happened in Milwaukee as well.
Let's hear from Elly De La Cruz. I caught up with him after the game. How does this feel?
It feels amazing. Like I said, it feels amazing. Amazing feeling. I can't describe it right now.
Are you getting hot right now? You're swinging it well.
Yeah, I feel good, but I'm just living the moment. I'm enjoying the moment.
What was your favorite moment from that celebration?
You guys hit the Cockroaches? Everything. We all hype, and we, like I said, living the moment. Why not? Enjoy.
Last thing, you had your struggles this season. Ending the year the way you did, does that just give you a fresh start heading into the postseason?
Yeah, like I say, the season is like that. There's up and down, but we just got to figure it out. And now we're here. It's starting over.
Thanks, Elly.
I've kept a list of, all right, how did the Reds win each game they won in September? And Elly's name shows up a lot. There was that Sunday game against the Mets. Hunter Greene pitched really well. Elly had a key go-ahead hit at one point during that game. There was that Wednesday game in San Diego where Elly went opposite field to really get that rally started in that game. There was the day against the Cubs where the Reds hit all those homers and Elly had his big smile and he broke the homerless streak. That was clutch. The next day against the Cubs, he made that huge play at shortstop. Man, his homer today, like, I think we talked about this in the last show, like, he brought his leg kick back. Like, there's an old swagger that he's allowing himself to tap back into, and that's dangerous on the field, and that's dangerous for the Dodgers.
What he said is, I think, what everyone has to believe. He said, we're starting over. And that's kind of the way I saw the last week and a half of the season. There was a point where they pulled even with 6 games to go, and it was a 6-game season. And then they were even with 1 game to go, and it's a 1-game season. And now you have a 2-game season. You start over. Nothing else matters. If you weren't hot, it doesn't matter. If you were, good, but you have to carry that over. But I think there'll be a certain collective exhale from the Reds that maybe now that the challenge is different. They've been having this same challenge and this same feel for the last couple of months, trying to put themselves in this position. And now you get to exhale for a few hours with the celebration. You get to change your mindset of regular season, postseason, and you do get to start over. And I think that's good. But there is the thinking in sports, whether you can back it up or prove it or not, but a team sometimes that's been competing as if it's the playoffs for a couple of weeks before the playoffs actually hits the postseason in a pretty good shape sometimes, or in a pretty good groove sometimes. And I wonder if that's going to be the Reds. I wonder if having their backs against the walls for weeks now will help them when they're backed into a corner at Dodger Stadium.
I'm not going to pick the Reds to win this series, spoiler alert, but they have nothing to lose. I think there's a freedom they're going to play with. There's a consistency they're going to play with because of kind of this momentum they've got heading into the playoffs. Now, I am concerned about the fatigue in the bullpen spilling over based on how that unit had to pitch over the course of this week. Like, for example, is Chase Burns available on Tuesday? Like, that's a part of the cat and mouse game. But because of what I said and the strengths their rotation brings to the table, and I know, spoiler alert, I wasn't alive in 1990, but everything I know about Reds history, not everything I know, but what I know, it's been very important to me to learn about Reds history. Kind of feels like the 1990 World Series a bit. Like, they were going in to face the Oakland A's. Man, those A's. And then Eric Davis hits that homer. And that just, all right, like, now you're going. Now you're rolling. You're a team with nothing to lose who has that confidence boost. If the Reds can get a moment like that early in this series, we've seen what that can do, and they have the pieces to back it up and make it interesting.
You mentioned the bullpen, and we're not going to get too deeply into all this, but players that didn't pitch on Sunday, Tony Santillan.
Good point. Yeah.
Graham Ashcraft and Emilio Pagan.
And Martinez.
And Nick Martinez, although he went longer the day before. I get that. But now you have Sunday and Monday for what was your big 3. And then you can evaluate the new weapons and the new options and see who might be there. Martinez or Phillips, since we were surprised that he went back in. Seriously, what a story. Phillips. And then you see when you get Burns back. But you start the series against the Dodgers with Hunter Greene on his regular rest and ready to go, and with Ashcraft, Santillan, and Pagan all with at least 2 days since they last pitched. And so kudos to the handling of this because you play every day to win, because Terry Francona plays every day to win, and tomorrow is not going to influence his decision, but they've managed through this stretch of games to get into the playoffs, and they didn't do something that got everything all sideways where you have game one of the wild card series and you really don't know how you can do it. We don't know what's going to happen, but what we just said, you got 4 proven players that are going to be given a very good opportunity to be their best selves for game one.
At one point, whenever it is, assuming, but we'll see. If the Reds ever lose, and get eliminated, the story will be, they couldn't get the big hit. The offense couldn't reach that level. This is a true World Series caliber starting rotation. And it's so good that I think it's a good, very good bullpen right now. But when you account for the strength in the rotation as well, I think this is a true championship caliber pitching staff. Now, what does their lineup do and their defense do to rise to the moment? Let's get some popcorn ready and find out. But this rotation did it. This was the vision. I've said this before. The whole point of all of this, the whole reason we're all here, if you ever get to the big series, one day you're going to have Hunter Greene take the ball in game 1. And then Lodolo and Abbott in 2 and 3. That's a real starting point. You can work with that. There are a lot of teams that would die for that. Just ask the Mets. So while we're talking about this rotation, I caught up with a very wet Andrew Abbott after the game in the clubhouse.
Just enjoying the whole moment together. I think just a good mix of everybody. So,
Are there moments from your season that are on your mind right now that are like, man, obviously you were one of the biggest parts in this?
I'm just glad I was able to do my part. Personally speaking, as a team, we did enough to get in. And I think that's what the main focus is right now. It wasn't pretty at times, but, we did enough to get there at the end of the day. We're going to enjoy today. We're going to enjoy tonight. Then we're gonna fly and we're going to focus on the Dodgers right now.
How good was this rotation and what does that mean in LA?
I think we're dangerous. I think we're playing well right now. Obviously it's going to be a tough time with those guys, but, I think we have the pieces. I think we just have to make it count. We have to stay hot, stay aggressive, and just continue to play our style of ball.
Last thing, is there a single moment all day that's been your favorite moment so far?
Just celebrating with the guys, seeing everybody so happy. Like, we worked so hard since spring training talking about this. For it to finally happen, for us to finally get to enjoy it. It's great. And all the guys being together the full year, just really enjoying it. We're going to have fun.
We're not going to hear from Nick Lodolo later. I decided we're not going to hear that just in terms of as we put this show together. But during that interview, Abbott just came up and just poured beer on Lodolo. And I said this is a team that grew up together, but more than anything, the rotation is a team within a team that, like, these guys, you take out, not take out, but, Singer and Littell have come along. But take Greene, Lodolo, Abbott, throw in Ashcraft because he's been a starter for most of this. They debuted in 2022 and 2023. They're around the same age. They've gone through the same experiences. They've guided each other through these experiences. They've sit on the bench next to each other every day when they're not starting. Like, this is a group, and they're ready to go.
They're ready to go. It's time now for this week's Reds milestone moment. Anything come to mind that we could do for the milestone moment?
Connor Phillips' first back-to-back-to-back stretch in the big league.
I'm going to veto you on that. We're just going to go the Reds make the playoffs for the first time in a full season in 12 years. That is this week's Reds milestone moment, brought to you, as always, by the good people at Glenville Ave. Our friends over there make baby blankets designed by parents who want something better. We've been talking about these blankets. We hope you've checked it out on the website. They capture your baby's growth and achievement. You're going to have at some point a need for this. I don't care who you are. Don't be the person that doesn't have the right gift when the time comes to buy a baby gift for someone you know or you love. Get it at Glenville Ave. The website is GlenvilleAveLLC.com. Take a look around there, and they're big supporters of the show, and so we hope you will support them in the same way, because if you go there now and you place an order, you use the promo code STACKS instead of the 10% discount that we initially offered. They've upped it to 15%. So go to GlenvilleAveLLC.com, get that gift taken care of that we know you need, and support the folks that support Power Stacks, the good folks from Glenville Ave. Chaz, take us back inside the clubhouse. I got to do this 12 years ago when it happened in Cincinnati, and it's something like you said. You and I talked right after you came out. Just like the players, the people who cover a team or around a team a lot, you never know when you're going to get an opportunity to cover a group or be around a team like this. You've been to a Super Bowl with the Bengals. There are playoffs with the Reds. You don't know when these things come around, and as much as we are objectively observing and doing the work that we have to do, this is you're kind of part of what's happening because we're around as much as we are. Take me back inside the clubhouse.
Here's a cool part for me. Like, when I see these guys celebrating, when I see our moments in their careers, like I did this whole thing with Marte on the last show where I was like, when I see him make that home run robbery, I think of the games at third where he couldn't make the throw. And I think of Newman St. Louis after he came back from the suspension. And I think of, going to Dayton to see him in A-ball, and I was going to talk to him, but Dayton had like a COVID scare. So they had to close the clubhouse. And you think with how you've kind of been on the ride and been on the journey with these guys. And like, there was a moment in there, and I'll use this as a segue, but like, I saw Tyler Stephenson just go up to J.R. House and didn't even say anything. Just what a hug. J.R. House helped forge Tyler Stephenson into QB1. Stephenson was an offensive first catcher who the Reds believed they could develop as a catcher. And Stephenson had a lot of work to do behind the plate. And I mean, he's not a Platinum Glove winner now, but he's more than serviceable. He's plenty strong, and you add in his offensive contributions, and he's a very valuable piece. And a part of that story is J.R. House. And I remember, how many, I guess you haven't been at as much spring training, but how many hours have I watched J.R. House and Tyler Stephenson do catching drills at spring training? Probably hundreds. And then you see a douse Tyler Stephenson hug it, douse J.R. House, and the moment says thank you. And I'm thinking of the drill they do where they have the stuffed animal being roped in so they can practice the tag at home. Like, that's what this is. Let's get to Tyler Stephenson and my conversation with him in the clubhouse.
TJ was just screaming, "We got it. We figured it out." How did this team do that?
And just relentless effort, not giving up, and just playing our best when we needed to. These last few weeks, it's been special trying to win each year to give us this opportunity. And that's all really we can ask for is come in and do that. Took advantage of it.
You're the longest tenured Red, so no one knows more than you. How does this feel, and what does this mean?
Surreal. Just everything we've been through the past, 5 years since I've been here, 5-6 years. So still in gym, 2020. I didn't get to be a part of this because I just got sent out. So to be able to do this, be a part of it for once, it's special, something I always remember. I'm just trying to soak it all in.
Is there anyone you'd like to thank or anyone you're really proud of, anyone that's on your mind right now?
Wow. Obviously family just always been there for me. Really the organization, just being able to be here and be a good part of this. Like, I know it's something you always dream of, and everybody says all it takes is to get in, and we believe in this group, everybody in this clubhouse, so we're excited for what's to come.
Last thing, the Marlins get the final out. Was there a speech? Tell me about the moment as the bottles got popped. What happened?
Tito said, "Hey, they can't kill us." I know Brantley said it. We're like cockroaches, so yeah, you can't kill us. So we're always in this. So we're always got an opportunity and a chance. Thank you.
There's Tyler Stephenson.
I love it, and I think about players like Steve-O who have been around longer, and you wonder. I think about this. I'm not a professional athlete, and this just in. I'm not a professional athlete, in case you hadn't figured that out. But when I try to put myself in that position, the money's the money. You're gonna get paid if you're a big leaguer, whether you play in Milwaukee or Pittsburgh or LA or New York. You're gonna make that money, but you don't know how long it's gonna last. You don't know how many years you're gonna be in the game, or if when your best years will be individually. And so I always think about, if the average career length is X number of years, you think about each season that goes by, and I'm sure players like Tyler Stephenson have thought about this, and you go, okay, there's another one, and it wasn't good. We didn't get much done, or I didn't have a great year, and another one's gone. And they're just, by average, there are so few seasons that you get to do that. And so whenever I see an older, and he's not old, he's tenured, but whenever I see someone who's been in one place for a while, or an older player who knows he's probably getting around to his last shot or two, I just want to go a little bit deeper inside their head, because that's when things kind of come into focus. You might be 30 years old and your career is maybe almost over. And, most of us, our careers, if we're lucky, thankfully, we end up doing something along the lines of our professional career into our 50s and 60s. And these guys, their goal and their careers, this part of their lives, is very short. So someone like Steve-O, who's poured so much into the team, they're guys that I'm happy for, that this isn't one of those seasons right now where it ends on Sunday afternoon and you go, well, there's another one. For players like Steve-O with this Reds team, there's a chance. There's a chance to start over, and there's a chance to do something more this year, and that's all they want, is a chance.
And that's so well said. And you heard Stephenson talk about this. Like, he was up for a minute in 2020, and then they took him off the playoff roster. And
yeah,
and he wasn't even a rookie yet, basically. And he was like, yeah, I'm not even the young guy on this team. I'm the baby on this team. And the next time the Reds make the playoffs, he's the longest tenured Red. That's how these things go. And on the flip side, though, man, the youthful exuberance of Sal Stewart in this clubhouse. I assume it was some sort of live stream situation he had going on. He was dancing. He had the cigar. I don't think anyone looked cooler than Sal Stewart did. He was bopping. But then also, I think back to our conversation in February where he's like, man, all I want is to be a part of this in September. And you know how much I love Sal Stewart's game. But I'm thinking, Sal, you've played half a season in high A. And then he had the year he had. And I know he didn't play today. But as you'll hear me allude to, Saturday was the winner for the Reds. And Sal was one of the offensive stars of Saturday. One of the offensive stars in several games in September. But he's not making this about him. Here's my conversation with Sal Stewart.
Well, a month ago you were in AAA. What's this like?
I mean, it's great. This is like, when I set out earlier in spring training, I told myself, I want to be here. I want to be able to get to the playoffs with this team, and it was a goal accomplished for sure. I'm excited.
Last night was the one that technically won it for you. Your big night last night. Is that even a little sweeter now, and you know how it plays out?
No, because this is a team game, and all I did was try to contribute what I could. So I'm excited for these guys, all these guys that posted up every day. Spencer Steer, I could go down to PJ, I could go on and on.
Give me a guy or two who you want to shout out.
Everybody, everyone who posted up. Elly posted up. Noelvi overcame adversity with injuries. Steer, TJ, I mean, we could go on and on, man. Honestly, it's sick. For sure.
Congratulations.
He's fired up.
I love that he's fired up. And you're right. You can say, their youthful energy at the right time in the clubhouse, which is what we saw when he showed up. That was good. So with Sal Stewart, you feel it wherever he is, whenever he is. With Chase Burns, you don't feel it in the clubhouse. He can be kind of quiet in the clubhouse, but then you feel that when, as you said, he's a dude when he competes, and he brings that. But there's so many things about this group going back to the trade deadline. Think about the team pre-trade deadline, and then how we view the team now as they are entering the postseason. Miguel Andujar has been a great pickup, and has likely exceeded expectations. Ke'Bryan Hayes, like you said, had his moments that greatly influenced games with his defense, and he had some moments with the bat. Zach Littell really helped because he allowed Nick Martinez to move back to the bullpen. And then you've carefully timed the arrival, the maintenance, and the care of Chase Burns, of Connor Phillips, and now we look at those players going into the postseason as big pieces of potentially what the Reds can do. And I think there's just a lot of credit. You can always draw up how you want to make something look on paper, but when people get involved in timing and emotion and everything gets involved, sometimes it goes sideways. It seems like most of the moves the Reds have made to add to or improve or adjust or alter from the very bold move, if we said, of moving Noelvi Marte to the outfield, all of those things seem to be coming up at the right time as something you would check and go, I'm glad we did that. That's a big part of what we did, and we handled it well.
And that ties me back to the one of the first points I made as we started recording here, which was just how many people are a part of this. Like, who is the scout that, was out in Georgia watching a high school Tyler Stephenson? Who was the, a lot of the guys in the front office, and a lot of this is kind of intertwined between different guys in the front office, the relationships they have with the Yankees, the negotiating with the Yankees and turning in the Jose Trevino for Fernando Cruz trade. Like, I'm just going through the roster here. The coaching, you look at Noelvi Marte. Training, you look at, TJ Friedel and his routine and what he does every day to avoid the soft tissue injuries that plagued him last year. Like, there is a team that is here for that. Nick Lodolo almost missed the team picture because he wanted to make sure that in his interview with me, he shouted out all of the strength and training and all those guys for everything they did for him. Like, it's everybody. And everyone's a part of this. Everyone at, player development, player acquisition, scouting, analytics. It just all ties in.
Yeah. And we talked on the postgame show about the front office, specifically Brad Metter, president of baseball operations, Nick Kroll, and how they constructed this team and how they've adjusted this team. But also what I said on the pregame show, I said, the season started for this team in late March at Great American Ballpark, but the story of this season and this team started a year ago, fall, when those guys flew to Tucson and hired Terry Francona. He's not the only reason this team is winning or is in the postseason, but he's the driving force behind the changes and the growth and the differences that needed to take place for this team to get to this point.
Yes, Tito, 1,000%. But even like Brad and Nick, like, they couldn't, no one can fool Tito. Like, and it wasn't even something they could prepare for. It's the types of people they were and their ability to convey a specific message. And let's call it what it is, recruiting pitch, when they were on Terry Francona's sofa in Tucson, Arizona. That is an either you have it or you don't type situation. And Francona bought in. And like, I mean, I talk to these players, like, honestly, like, they're telling me what they really think. Like, they like the front office. They like the coaching staff. They like Tito. Like, and they also talk about how all of that has helped the Reds win games this season. And yes, again, I've disagreed with a lot of Francona's moves. I said to you at one point today, man, if they don't hit for Cabrian Hayes here, I'm going to lose it. And they didn't hit for Cabrian Hayes. What are we doing? But then, like, Friday, frankly, from Terry Francona was one of the best managed games I've ever seen. So it all ties together. And when you make it to the playoffs by this slim of a margin, it's all of those pieces being there for a reason as an indispensable piece of it.
All right, get me back in the clubhouse. Let's run through some more interviews in the clubhouse. But I would like to point out, because I've heard it in the background of a couple of interviews before, while we were in the dugout, I say we, me, Chris Welsh, Jim Day, part of the time doing the postgame show, the dugout is where all the family and friends gathered and waited for the players to come out of the clubhouse, hug them, take pictures there before they went on the field for the big team picture. And I didn't catch who it was, obviously. Maybe you did, but there was a family member.
Emilio Pagan's wife.
In the cockroach outfit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jordan.
That was Pagan's wife?
Yes.
Okay. In a literal cockroach outfit, because of when the cowboy Jeff Brantley famously said, they're like cockroaches. You can stomp on them and try to get them, but you can't kill them. They've run with the cockroach thing just as much as they've run with the can't kill them thing. And that was hilarious.
It's authentic too, and it's organic, and it's
Yeah.
something that obviously it starts with the cowboy, who's truly one of the most creative people I've ever met. But then, like, Nick Martinez is the perfect Clubhouse character to make the "you can't kill us" thing stick. And I mean, that started in the San Diego series, which was coming off of, I guess that was the Mets series, right? Let me look. Yep, that's right. And they won the Mets series, but still after the Mets series, it was one of those, like, I believe we even said this, like, you needed a sweep for it to feel like a win. And that loss on Friday and how demoralizing that was. You were concerned about where they were going. Their playoff odds were really slim. And I do feel like that San Diego series is where the belief truly started, even more so than the Mets series. So for a moment to be tied to an identity in that way, and just for that, like, can you kill them? I don't know. But for them to believe that, they had clutch wins down the stretch. That San Diego game, man, one of the best, that Tyler Stephenson home run game, responding to the Athletic series the way they did. I believe it was Monday in St. Louis that next day. That was one of those where, like, they kept coming back and they kept adding more, and a bunch of guys had their moments and it kept moving forward. And like, even like something like the Noelvi Marte game, like, and sure, they got beaten down with the extra innings, Tyler Stephenson homer that doesn't count loss, but it did enough. And again, usually I'm an analytical guy, but when you make it by this small of a margin, everything means something. And the intangibles, which are a reflection of the veteran leaders that were deliberately added onto this roster, that's a significant part of that. So speaking of veteran leaders and speaking of cockroaches, Emilio Pagan, Reds closer in the clubhouse post-game. It sounds like when the Marlins game ended, got quiet and he said you couldn't kill us.
Yeah.
What was that moment like?
It's cool, man. It's kind of become our battle cry the last couple of weeks. I think Cowboy was the first to say it. He called us cockroaches. I think I was in San Diego. And then Martinez says it in the post game. Lux says it. It's kind of who we are, man. We believe in this group. No matter how bad it gets, we're going to keep fighting. And like I said, hopefully this is the start of something special.
Last thing is the lesson of this regular season, that every game and every pitch and every moment matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hopefully for this group, a lot of these guys are going to move back. I'm proud to be a part of it. But when you hear that in spring training, sometimes you can just kind of gloss over it. The little things matter for a reason. That's why Tito preaches it. That's why he's going to Cooperstown one day. And it worked out for us.
The best joke of the day, though, was Terry Francona being like, at the start of the day, talking to him post-game, he was like, actually, today we're going to look ahead. That was a good joke. That got a genuine laugh out of me.
That's a little moment of levity. That's the second time I've heard Emilio Pagan today say, I'd love to still be a part of it. They love this group, and we don't know what happens after this year, but I thought that was interesting that he said that. And as we've talked about, bold moves that the Reds have made this season, we always will go first to Noelvi Marte moving from the infield to the outfield. As Chris Welsh and I were talking postgame, he brought up again, how about Terry Francona early in the season deciding that he didn't feel like the current closer for the Reds, who was not that long ago an all-star, Alexis Diaz.
Yeah, great point.
Wasn't going to be his guy. And that was bold to acknowledge that, to make those moves early. And I know Diaz
was on the IL at the time.
Went on the injured list. I get that.
These were both true, that Diaz wasn't the closer, and then he was on the injured list.
Yes. And this is nothing against Alexis Diaz, but when you take over a team, you have the opportunity to mold that team into, to a certain degree, what you want it to be. And that was one of the early things that clearly Terry Francona identified, that he didn't think that was the best option. And he never called Emilio Pagan the closer, but the guy's got 30 saves at the end of the year. I think he's the closer. but he had a sense or a feel for the situation and for the players and for the personality and for maybe where this team might be headed. And he went to Pagan, and here we are. And we haven't talked about Alexis Diaz or that the Reds parted ways with
But
Alexis
even
Diaz.
the idea of Alexis Diaz, they lost an all-star closer. And I remember saying this at the time, like the idea of losing a former all-star closer is devastating for the Reds.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Like imagine if the Reds had like an all-star right, I know Martezin right now had like an all-star right fielder who then tanked.
Yeah.
Like that would be devastating. But the Reds made that up in the bullpen, and that is one of the stories of the season.
The stories. Take me back inside the clubhouse. Let's hit some more sound.
Let's stick with the bullpen. Mentioned him earlier. You know him. You love him. Brent Suter.
What does it mean for the Cincinnati Reds to do that in Florida?
I tell you what, this group, this city, this team is so special, okay? Not just saying that because I'm a hometown guy. It's a special baseball city. And the fact that we're knocked on our butts a million times this year and kept responding. I love this team. I love this city. It means the world, man. It means everything. I can't wait to see where we go from here. But simple in the journey is complete. We are in the dance. We are in the dance. Look out for the Reds. I don't know if anyone wants to play us. We are dangerous team. Resilient as heck. We got crazy starting pitching, crazy lineup, crazy defense, crazy bullpen. I love this team. I love this city, man.
These young guys, and you've made the playoffs before, do they know what to do? They're just figuring it out.
It seemed like it was pretty good. Yeah. I didn't do any tutorials. I didn't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
But it seems like everyone knew what to do with the bottles. Everyone knows kind of what to do with the cigars. Everyone's drinking the beer, pouring the beer. It's great. I mean, I was just talking with Simon Matthews. This is what you dream of. There's nothing better than popping bottles in the show. And we are doing it. We are in the dance. Yeah, I'm just so grateful. I can't tell you. So I love this. I love this sport. I love this organization, this city. It means the world.
Simon Matthews, that would be the Reds' assistant pitching coach. But another perfect example of all the people in this organization that were in that moment, that were on people's minds. The whole coaching staff was in it, and there were, beautiful moments with like Freddie Benavidez and Oli Marte and Elly De La Cruz and all these different connections and thank yous and acknowledgments in this post-game celebration that were really special.
They were, and if you haven't, I don't know how you would have missed it at this point whenever you're listening or watching to this show, but if you haven't seen it, please go check the Brent Suter dance in which everything else in the clubhouse stopped and they gathered around him. There was nothing else that would stop collectively the room from everybody doing their own cigars and champagne and whatnot. But his dance stopped the room. Go look that up. That's gonna be legendary.
Let me say one more thing about Suter. Suter won the Reds many games this year. Like I think of the day Hunter got hurt in Atlanta. Like Suter came in with no notice, bam, whittly bow. Yeah. And I remember that night, the quote from Pagan on him was like, when we need him, like is when someone gets hurt, he turns into prime Randy Johnson. That was funny. Brent Suter has barely pitched in September. I don't think he's pitched in any meaningful, let's call it what it is, game situation at all since that Padres series where they tried to use him as a matchup lefty because the bullpen at the time was very thin and it was a key moment of the game. Brent Suter is as much a part of this as anybody. And that's just the theme I keep going back to. Everyone's a part of this. Everyone has had their moments. Everyone is invested and it's all connected, whether you're the guy who, hit 10 homers in September like it feels Spencer Steer did, or a guy who hasn't pitched much in September, but is one of the captains of the team, the Cincinnati guy, one of their heartbeats, Brent Suter. Everyone has their place. And that's one of the powerful things about this team.
I know you got more clubhouse sound. Let's get back to some of that, but I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead and mix in some talk about the Dodgers as we do that. The dot, and this could all change because some of the things I'm looking at, obviously are from Sunday and we don't know what's going to happen, but I'm reading that the Dodgers postseason pitching plans, Dave Roberts announced on Saturday that Tyler Glasnow, who's been hurt, is expected to be available out of the bullpen for the wild card series. That'll be a boost to them. They have not officially announced, nor have the Reds, any starters, but if you look at it, it would likely be Ohtani, Blake Snell, and then Yamamoto, although there was some, well, do you save Ohtani for game 3 and just let him focus on hitting the first 2 games? But then you run the risk of having a series where Ohtani never pitches. So just some things to think about when you think about that team. You know what, they won 93 games. And it's interesting to see what happens when when you run it back, when the defending champions get the opportunity again. Did they, what did this regular season do to influence how they show up in the postseason? But the Dodgers are the Dodgers. They took 5 of 6 from the Reds during the regular season, and the Reds were just at Dodger Stadium last month. We'll see if it's different this time. Take me back in the clubhouse.
Another one of my favorite conversations, and it hits on the theme you were just talking about. This guy was doing the thing where he was pointing as he was talking, and he was like right on my shoulder. He was that fired up as he said every single word. Loved it. Right in the middle of the party all night. This is William Buchanan Benson.
It's incredible, man. It's what you ordered for. It's what you want, man. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking about all the time, this year. I don't know if you personally, but us as a unit, everything we went through, to then finish it with a champagne shower, man. I'm like,
you had some of the biggest moments right as the team started to hot. Yeah. Considering everything you went through, how does that feel now?
It's a blessing, man. I give all the glory to God. I'm very thankful. I'm standing right here running Bobby champagnes.
How do you think about the team going forward?
It's really about, as you know, within the postseason, it's about being hot. You know what I mean? And you dumb it down just a little bit. Well, how do you get hot, bro? It's really about playing A1 baseball and breathe single pitch. And mind you, I did play Jimmy too, but what I noticed was how intense every pitch was. So being able to lock in every pitch is important.
Last thing, is there someone in here who you're proud of, you're so excited for to also be a part of this moment?
There's a lot of guys. I'm looking around, man. I see Phillips, man. Like, me and Phillips grinded a little bit in AAA together, and I know how bad he wanted it. So to see him being here with me, it's huge. And I'm putting around, like, Tony's right in front of me. I mean, what a hell of a year he had. You know what I mean? Just to see again, like, somebody who balls to the wall every night. You know what I mean? Like, he was there whenever he needed him. I mean, there's a lot of guys, the list goes on, but I think that the whole identity of the speed, as you can see, is just kind of, man, guys who fight, and what better way to hit it with a champagne shot? What better way to thank you.
Everyone's had something this year. For Benson, that was, we all know Benson's story. They didn't call him up, and they called him up, and he played really well. Well, statistically, it didn't show, but he was hitting the ball so hard, and he had some huge moments, and he led the Reds to wins, but he still didn't get rewarded. Then he got sent back down. And even though he led the team in ex-WOBA, in between, basically during the rain suspension of the Bristol game, he just had to go home. Oh, and by the way, his daughter's birthday party was scheduled for the next week, and he had plans for that with the Reds in Cincinnati, and all of a sudden he was in Louisville, so that stunk. And then they called him up, and he doesn't play for like 4 more weeks, even though the Reds can't hit. And then he comes up, and he's clutch, and we both talked about it and wrote about it and broadcasted about it. Everyone's had something, and then they each had it pay off. And next we'll hear from Spencer Steer. Spencer Steer, the guy, and we've covered this, had to reteach himself how to throw. Talked his way onto the opening day roster. Had stats that were about what you or me would have put up in April because he felt like half a player. He wasn't like himself, but it was so important for him to keep playing. Had his ups, had and downs, asked himself, am I just not a good player anymore? But worked himself out of it to the point where he's top 20 homers. What an unbelievably meaningful last 2 weeks he's had for the Reds. One of the better first baseman defenders you'll see, Spencer Steer.
Is this the coolest thing you've ever been a part of right now? 100%. Tell me about kind of the moment where the ball popped and you celebrate going to the playoffs. What happened?
It's why you do it. Why you grind your butt off all year round. Why you grind in the off season. Why you just grind every day. Like this is what it's all about. This is like nothing we're from.
this makes all the, the shoulder stuff and then the slump, all the worth it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this is what it's all about. And it's never about me. It's always about the team. And, like, to do with this group of guys, like I'm so happy for everyone else in this room. But, listen, it's such a team sport. That's why it feels so good. It takes all 26 guys.
You added some key veterans, but then it's a part of that that you guys literally have grown up together?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is a lot of our first times at the postseason now. Like, we're all doing this for the first time together, but I think over the last couple of years, man, it's kind of been waiting in the wings. And, yeah, man, we're, like you said, we're all growing up together. We're all doing this the first time together, and I wouldn't rather do it with anybody else.
Last thing, you guys got to be pretty fearless now heading into LA. Kind of what's that mindset?
I mean, it's a clean slate. Anything can happen in October. It's a clean slate. The season's done with. Now, who can execute better? That's all it comes down to. Thank you.
Reds are heading to LA, and there's some fascinating storylines, including, that the Dodgers once hit Spencer Steer on purpose with a pitch because they thought the Reds were celebrating too much?
I did not. When was that?
That was June of 2023. The series with the Elly debut series.
Gotcha.
All that was going on. There are some sneaky Reds-Dodgers storylines that have percolated over the years.
Well, this is Reds and Dodgers in the postseason against each other for the first time since '95. They used to be in the National League West together. And so when you talk to you brought up earlier the 1990 Reds, when you talk to the players from those eras, Reds Dodgers is what they talked about. This was what they loved, this rivalry from the wire to wire Reds through a couple of other good teams. And now you get Reds Dodgers in a short series, and it's likely that game one will be Ohtani and Hunter Greene, right? Is that where we are? And what is Hunter Greene? Let's finish up with some Hunter Greene.
So we'll end with Hunter here, but let me buzz through real quick, and this will spoil some story ideas that I have heading into this trade. These are like the top, and I'll just buzz through these. That's a football term, by the way. When you buzz through some film.
Okay.
Some Reds Dodgers storylines. Elly in LA. Elly has crushed the Dodgers. Elly seems to do better in big cities and bright lights. We've been waiting all these years to see him in the playoffs. Let's see what happens. We've got the Gavin Lux angle. I'm going to write this probably tomorrow. My take on the Gavin Lux trade was the Reds gave up a haul, a first-round pick, and a top 100 prospect. But where would the Reds be without him? They just made the playoffs. That makes the Gavin Lux trade absolutely for the Reds. Absolutely worth it for the Reds. We've got the beef from 2023. They said the Reds showed too much emotion. They threw at Spencer Steer. Last year, Dave Roberts said, quote, Elly needs a real base running coach, to which Colin Cowgill, I'm sure he didn't like that. And why would he? You've got Francona versus Dave Roberts. Tangent. Do the Reds call up Blake Dunn to be their pinch runner? Is Blake Dunn's this year's Reds Dave Roberts? Or is, maybe it's Benson on the bench and he's a pinch runner in a key spot? How similar and different are their approaches towards playoff baseball? That's an interesting one. Another interesting one. Who is this team's Ohtani stopper? I don't expect it to be this guy, but secretly, like, in the past, when his arm slot was in the right spot and he was spinning it, Sam Maul had been great against Ohtani. I don't expect him to be a factor, but Graham Ashcraft is now this team's left-handed specialist, and he's a righty. That's interesting for when the Ohtani Freeman pocket of the lineup comes along. This is my favorite one. The best trade the Reds made this offseason that you've never heard about. How they got their number 11 prospect in the organization for free, but by giving the Dodgers some international bonus pool cap space, that allowed the Dodgers to help get Roki Sasaki. The Reds got Arnaldo Lantigua. The Reds gave the Dodgers some capped money in a certain pool that the Reds weren't planning on using in their plans. The Reds got a free prospect. Sasaki's going to be coming out of the bullpen in this series. That's going to be interesting. You've got the Japanese rivals who you didn't know competed for a Cy Young Award and have been going head-to-head for years. That would be Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Nick Martinez. This will be, they've dueled many, many times before. And then lastly, you've got Hunter Greene. LA area. One more thing. I want to drop in one more thing too. Terry Francona impacts subtly. The Reds have been sending minor league managers as advanced scouts to these teams. And they had one of their minor league managers in LA. They're saying, how can we play this game and understand their tendencies in these spots? That's what they're focused on heading into this series. And then the last big storyline, again, the reason we're all here is because one day these starters can maybe do the thing. It starts with Hunter Greene. Terry Francona's had some unbelievable aces, some unbelievable guys do big things in the playoffs. He's counting on Hunter being the next one. Here's my conversation with Hunter Greene in the Reds postgame clubhouse.
In 23, you sign your extension and you say, this team is going somewhere exciting. What did you see then that you're here now?
Man, I came up with a lot of these guys, so I've seen their demeanor on the field, but most importantly, off the field, how committed they are to the game, how committed they are to being great teammates and being able to see struggles through. So knowing how difficult this game is and knowing the character of each guy in this clubhouse, there was never a doubt. I knew the skill and the ability was there, but most importantly, the character, the resilience, the confidence. So I knew that was going to be able to take care of itself with the combination of the skills. So just really, really proud of these guys and excited. And to be able to do this, I didn't know if we were going to be able to do it, it was in the entire year, but to be able to see us do it now and having the confidence, moving forward is there. So I'm just really happy.
What can you take from some of these huge starts you've had recently, maybe into LA on Tuesday?
Just a lot of confidence, man. It's another game. My preparation would be the same, and I'm just gonna ride it, man. I'm gonna have a lot of fun and stay in the moment.
I remember after your second start against the Dodgers last year, you said, I'm keeping notes on them just in case. How long have you been thinking about the playoffs?
Oh man, since I got drafted. Everybody says they want to win a World Series. It ain't easy, but these are the steps to do it. And you got to be able to go through times like this to know how to do it and to continue to move forward. So,
last thing, is there a guy in here you're proud of? You'd like to anyone who's on your mind as you look around?
Everybody. So many guys. Things that a lot of people don't see behind the scenes. The struggles, whether it's family stuff, whether it's injuries. Everybody. One of the guys I'm talking about right here. Just amazing to be able to see his growth. See a lot of guys that rose, especially Phillips. Seeing his development through the minor league and being able to just continue to execute in the toughest situation.
That was Abbott who swarmed Greene, that Greene alluded to first before shouting out Connor Phillips. Yeah, let me expand to wrap this up on that anecdote you heard me share with Greene. When I wrote the story, here he is, Hunter Greene's making the leap last year, which he was in Cy Young contention until he got hurt. That was basically coming off of the Dodgers series is when I wrote that story and when I interviewed him about the leap. And the story was the notes that are fueling Hunter Greene and the journaling and the details and the prep and the bank, the memories, the experiences that he was getting that he was now able to use because he had experiences to use. And he had to learn on the fly in the big leagues, but now he was actually just a guy on a normal timeline with real experiences to draw off. And he was telling me about his notes and he was telling me about using them in the future. He's like, yeah, my Dodgers notes. What do you need your Dodgers notes for? You've already faced them twice. Don't play them again. For the playoffs, he said with a straight face. He didn't face him in the playoffs in 24. He faced him again this year, I believe. He did. But I'm sure he'll look back at those this week. And it all comes full circle. It all goes back around. And it's all a part of it. The thing you did on May 30th, 2024, and you thought no one was watching, it shows up now. And that's the beauty of sports and storytelling and following individuals on a multi-year journey the way we do when you cover or follow a team like the Reds. And now they are going to be on a truly international stage under the brightest lights against Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and company. And that sounds fun.
Sounds really fun. Chaz, great work in the clubhouse, man. Really, really good work in there and all season long. We know you're going to be in Los Angeles. So do your thing in LA for the Dodgers series, and we'll see where it goes. Check back with us at Power Stacks Pod on Twitter at Power Stacks Pod. Do it. Send us an email, powerstackspod@gmail.com. Do that, and we'll keep you posted there and on each of our Twitter pages with the plans for what we'll do as the Reds head to the postseason for the first time in a dozen years. The first ever Reds Clinch Power Stacks episode draws to a close. We hope you enjoyed that trip inside the clubhouse, and we'll see you next time.